I've heard. I think there was one farm where family was having problems with about 12 of them, 12 yowies. No, the case I heard of was 12 of them that were causing problems for people on the farm, and the reports went out to the police. The police then contacted the government. The government contacted a special ops team, kind of special unit, special operations unit or something, or special forces unit. They
Oh,
had to
that
put
looks
the
nice.
things down because a couple of the creatures were trying to kill a kid multiple times. It was ramping up. Yeah, it was ramping up. There was a lot of activity going on late at night during the day. I think their livestock was constantly getting harassed. And the funny thing is, once they killed them, they took the body somewhere for study. Yeah, they were very quiet. They were very quiet about it. The way it was dealt with. So, the other one that gets me is the incident that happened at Ormo. Yeah, the incident that happened down at Ormo. Similar thing, but it was two of them on the way down to the Gold Coast, having a lot of problems with these two creatures. The police couldn't take it anymore, so they contacted the Australian government and they sent down two Australian SAS officers armed with some weapons that they weren't supposed to have in a national park. So a whole heap of flashbangs. And the creatures engaged them. They were throwing... but they're all over the place. I mean... I've heard stories of those creatures being in other areas too. So there has been stuff, but you have to start talking to a lot of locals. You talk to a lot of the local Aboriginal tribes. They know about the things. They refer to him as being the hairy man. They call him the brother of the forest. Well, there has been Americans that have come over here and they have had encounters with him. There's one crazy guy. I think he's a little bit off his trolley. He's claiming that he was being molested by one of these creatures where he was living.
No, he wasn't being molested. He was enjoying it.
You never know with a guy like that. But I have heard stories where they can actually do that. You'll get a horny female or a horny male. They'll come down and steal either a teenage girl or a young lady, and won't take her back to a cave somewhere out in the scrub, and won't let her leave. Yeah, I've heard that. And I've also heard stories of some Bigfoot kidnapping baby dogmen and raising them as pets. I've heard stories of people seeing Bigfoot walking with dogmen side by side. You've got them there too. I have heard stories, and I'm also hearing a lot of stories coming out of the UK. New Zealand has dogmen now too. What I've heard, Tasmania, they've got something running around. Tasmania, that's a Filipino thing. It's quite nasty, actually. Some people say it doesn't exist, but it does, and I don't know. There is something to it. There is something to the creature. Yeah. There's been quite a few werewolf sightings in Australia. There was one I heard about recently that happened down on the outskirts of Melbourne. Some guy just bushwalking with his family saw the thing standing in broad daylight. He said the size of this thing, what did he record it? He said it was about 12 foot tall, built like a brick shed house. He said the way it moved, it freaked the hell out of him. It moves very quiet. Yeah, they say that a lot of them are active at night, and others, they don't care. Some will be active during the day, others won't. Most of them don't go near human beings. I've heard about quite a few good ones over the years. There was a bunch of kids, high school kids, that were on a high school camp out at the Blue Mountains, and this is where it gets strange. One of the students got quite sick, and the rest of the students in his class wanted to go bushwalking. And those students went off. He stayed back in the cabin and decided to lie down. After a certain time of night, he starts hearing movement, activity, something coming inside the cabin. This thing literally walked up the stairs, walked into the cabin. He freaked out when some of the other students came back at a certain time when the creature was still around. He freaked out and realized, hey, I'm not alone. It's not another student. What the hell is it? He ran out of the cabin, crapping himself. So some other students came it walked in quite a way into the cabin. So you got to be careful too. The creatures are known. They are known. They know how to open doors. All of them. The dogman, the werewolf, yowies, Bigfoot, they know how to open doors. If they wanted to get in your house, they can get in your house. They didn't even have to go in through your front door. They'll find a way in if they really want in. They also managed to get their hands on genuine hair samples of the creatures. And what they found through testing is they found out that the hair can blend it, that somehow their hair learns how to naturally blend in with its surroundings, like a chameleon. Yeah, no, that's what they found out. They're good at mimicking things. They can mimic other people. They can mimic other animals. There's one. They try one animal. There's one animal they try mimicking a lot, and that's an owl. The only problem is each time when people hear what sounds like an owl, it sounds like it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound right. Yeah, it's a little bit off. Sometimes they get it right too. The other thing to watch out for too is when they hit you with infrasound, real low frequency. Lions use it for hunting. There's a few other animals that use it. Lions actually use it somehow. Something in the infrasound stuns the animal. The animal goes into shock and it can't move, and that allows the lion or whatever to pounce on it much easier.
And screams Allah Akbar.
Mm.
What?
I can tell you now, Allah is not God.
Allah is a false prophet.
No. Allah's not a god at all. It never was. It's an ancient Babylonian moon demon. No, I'm serious. It's an ancient Babylonian moon demon, and that moon demon is tied to Nimrod, and that Nimrod is tied to Baal.
Are you going to tell the people that follow it that?
They're brainwashed. They don't know.
No
they're
shit,
deceived.
they're brainwashed.
It's an ancient Babylonian moon demon that's been around for a very long time. The Prophet Muhammad, his parents used to worship it, and he went about the same way, without being aware. Stuff's there, the history's there. Yeah, it does, and it's not a good thing. It's a very, very strong, powerful demon. See, I was reading an article on the world's highest rates of demonic possession, and guess which country has it? World's highest rate of demonic possession. It's actually the Middle East. It's all those ones that are following the Quran. There's a lot of nasty demons that run around there. One of the worst ones they got is, what do they call it, a jinn? Even US troops have had run-ins with those things. See, it's the same thing that's up there too with Freemasons. Freemasons don't realize that they're worshipping Satan. They keep going around saying they're Christians, and they're not. They're actually worshipping a demon called Nimrod without being aware that they're worshipping Nimrod.
Why does that have to be called Nimrod? I can't help but laugh every time I hear the name.
I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Nimrod's a bad demon.
I can't help but the name Nimrod. Like, of all names,
don't. I don't even.
Damn Nimrod.
No, it's bad. It's a bad thing.
Oh, that only makes it funnier.
Bad juju, man. That's what it is. Bad juju. Goes back even further. There was an organization that created the Masons and the Templar Knights. It was an order that's within the Jesuits, and it's an order known as the Order of the Jesuits. They created the Templar Knights, they created the Masons. They always were a cult, the Illuminati, right from the very beginning. They're connected with another group known as some bloody movement. It's a Jewish Israeli movement. It's a cult group. They're connected with them. Can't remember their name now. Very high level bad demon. Comes out of the Middle East, if I remember. Not a good thing. Yeah, it's a combination of things. What do you think most demons do? They're into death, destruction, chaos, mayhem. Oh, they all do it. They're all taught by Satan to deceive, to lie, manipulate. They're into everything. They keep people depressed. They keep people. They give people the thoughts of suicide. All kinds of stuff like that. So, okay, what do we got here?
Cheese and bacon pies.
It goes down well. And then you also got the legendary cheese and bacon rolls. They're nice. Yeah, they go down well. And there's another one that gives them a run for its money, but you have to get, there are places that do it, a real hot chili, an actual chili pie with real chilies actually in with the mince. There was also the legendary Yatla pies, where they claim that they got the best meat pies in Australia. There was a place on the outskirts of Sydney, not far from an area called Punchbowl. Got to remember the suburb. It was just down the road from Punchbowl. Like, you from there, are you?
No, I'm in Perth.
WA. I got relations over there on my mother's side I haven't met. It's not just stories. It actually did happen. Apparently, one of the stories I heard is that the Russians managed to get their hands on one of the designs that they were testing, but a lot of their technology, most of it just disappeared. The Americans tried getting their hands on a lot of it. The Germans were there. You'd have to, if I remember, Operation High Jump. That's what it was. Operation High Jump. Admiral something. They went down there, I think, a little bit after World War II to try and investigate what was going on, and they got into a major fight with Nazi UFOs coming up out of the water. Yeah, a lot of them were calling USOs, and they were getting attacked. It was a combination. It was a joint exercise between Americans, English, and I can't remember what other countries. Some rare black and white footage of it floating around. Heavy casualties. The one that gets me is happened a few years back. The United States government lost 2 naval destroyers that were tracking underwater UFOs. All crew on board disappeared on both destroyers. You guys heard about America the U.S. Navy using they lost 2 naval destroyers tracking 2 underwater UFOs. Their destroyers disappeared. All crew on board, both ships, quite a few years back. They were tracking these things for quite a while. 2 U.S. naval destroyers. It had nothing to do with the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is something else too. I've heard lots of stories about that. They sent down some probes or something, some underwater gear, and they saw something down there that scared the shit out of them. And yet we haven't even explored our own backyards, have we? The other phenomena that's really scaring the shit out of me are those the black-eyed children. Yeah, they get quite nasty and insistent. They insist upon being let into your house. Whatever you do, don't. I've heard too many stories where people have done that. They got real ill and sick and died. You know something's not wrong when you get something's not right when you get a good look at them, and they don't show normal eyeballs. They show pure black eyes. There was a case just recently with I don't know if they could work out the young girl's age. When she was told multiple times no, get lost, she got very violent and aggressive right outside the guy's home. So there's one case where a couple of police officers supposedly had arrested a teenage girl that was a black-eyed kid. It's all on security. There's some security footage of it happening somewhere. Probably is a possessed demon. They always seem to target certain types of people when they do this. You seen the one where it's on YouTube? Somebody caught one of these a supposed garden gnome walking across their own front lawn late at night. Actually, see something quite short. It's the Celtic and Irish and the English, if I remember, and it's also prominent amongst the people from Iceland, Norway. I don't know if the guy's faking it or what, but he regularly claims that he's got fairies on film. There's a certain area in the forest where he goes to, and he catches them regularly on film. Little people. This guy, he shows you on his videos, he goes way, way out. Thick forest somewhere in England, secret location that he doesn't even want to divulge. Shit, this guy's got good footage. What the hell is that thing? Oh, crap. Somebody got that on film. Washington. Oh, it looks like it's either a dogman or it's one of those large direwolves that people keep seeing. We got a Bigfoot radio show on this weekend. Some interesting stories coming up. I actually talked to people that were that actually hunt these things. They go out there, they interact with them. And they said if the creature hit you even a little bit, it's still going to cause a lot more injury than just... Oh, I'll show you. Someone caught a good photo of a dogman in a forest feeding on something, and they've checked the photo out. They verified it. It's real. It's not fake. They're in the right place at the right time. They got in damn close too. Actually, it's got a very funky looking head structure, long head going forward. It looks like it's almost deformed, but it's actually feeding on something. Yeah, that's their head and the rest of its body. It's sitting down on its legs. And it's feeding on something. He caught the thing feeding on something. It's got hair on the head. You can see it. It looks like it's got a very long neck and a very unusual shaped head. Yeah, that's a dogman. The werewolf is a little bit different. Bigger, nastier, more aggressive, wider, a lot more muscle on it. Have you seen that other one too? I don't know where he got it. I've seen it somewhere. This guy had these very large slug-looking things. They're wandering around in his basin. He's got 2 of them. These big pink fleshy slug things, and every now and then, out of the end of one of the slug things, you actually see an eyeball. An eyeball pops out and it starts wriggling around inside the guy's basin. I don't know where the hell he got it. Start talking to the Americans about our legendary drop bears. Oh, there's Bigfoot in Alabama. There's also dogman and werewolf having problems. He was having some problems with a particular yowie. It was a young one or something, and it was quite aggressive, and he's claiming he shot it. There was the rare photos of the thing somewhere floating around that he had taken of the dead body. I don't know. That's all I heard about the story. There was photos circulated around about it. He was claiming it was the dead body of a yowie he had shot. Anything's possible. There's a story I heard of one of the legendary cryptids that was harassing some people. One famous cryptid, I think it was the Beast of Bray Road or something else similar to that in one part of the US. One of the guys who was a bit of a Bigfoot hunter told the whole world he was going to go after this thing and kill it. And just as he was about to do that, he had two MIBs knock on his door, and he was threatened. He was basically told, leave it alone. It's the US government's pet. We're keeping an eye on it. We're tracking it. You can't touch it. You do anything to it, it will make your life miserable. He was basically threatened in no other terms. They also threatened to put him in jail if he did anything. Something I read in declassified NASA files on it. They talked about getting their hands on a Sasquatch they had shot that was going near NASA, one of the NASA buildings. Security guards shot it. They did an autopsy and they found some kind of little electronic device which they believe may have been a mind control device. The aliens may have been putting the creature up to it. There was also stories of NASA getting on security camera the Mothman and the Jersey Devil in highly secured areas on security film. Like you'd go to a nightclub and before you go into that nightclub, you'd have you know how you usually have bouncers standing at the front who decide who gets in and who doesn't. You could see a couple Bigfoot or Yetis. They were you'd see them standing out front, acting as bodyguards. I know they can be very hostile to a lot of villagers, but usually they don't interact with human beings much. I know there was a recent sighting of one actually too. Guys that were camping up on the Himalayas. Yes. I know the incident. It happened in the 50s or 60s. It was 10 or 12 Russian university students. The Dyatlov Pass incident. You know they've reopened the case. The Russian government's reinvestigating it. They found further evidence. There's too many weird things that were going on. The photo did you see the photo of what one of the dead students that got torn to bits or like beaten to death? They took photos of something standing there in the forest. Dyatlov Pass incident. Well, they reckon it might have been an Almasty, similar to the Yeti. They can be very aggressive. You heard the story, haven't you? Russian soldiers actually capturing one, a female. They took it into a village. Eventually, they acclimatized it, started educating it a bit, started getting it to act like a human being. One of the local villagers fell in love with it, got married to it. They had a kid together, one son. And then there's another good one where a guy's claiming, you can see it's a very young one. It's highly aggressive, running around the cage. I don't know how the hell he caught it, but it was an Almasty, a very young Almasty, penned up in a cage. And the thing's just running back and forth. Have you also seen the other one too, where another guy's, they're claiming they caught a real young Almasty or Yeti or something? You see the short little thing, hairy thing running around in someone's house. You know about the Moihao, don't you? Moihao, that's your New Zealand version of a Bigfoot. And I also found out about Hawaii's got one too. One particular island where they're seen a lot, but they've been seen hanging around certain national parks, been seen on the beach and hanging around a lot of waterfalls. There's plenty of places for them to hide there, and there's plenty of food for them to eat where they can be safe. Constant food source. You know, the one that gets me is like those, I think it's Indonesia. Did you see those guys on the trail bike? The trail bike riding, and one of the trail bike riders gets taken out by this short little man, a half-naked man in a loincloth carrying a spear. Yeah, some very short little thing. No. I think in Indonesia, they found remains of it. I think it's like a variation of an orang pendek. There's another name for it. Yeah, in South America and Mexico and certain parts of the US, they talk about the little people. Even the Native Americans mention the little people, and they're not to, apparently you're supposed to respect them. You're not supposed to mess around with them. So there's one story I heard from these people that were living next door to a junkyard, and in that junkyard there's an aggressive tribe of little people. They go into people's houses late at night, get up to all kinds of mischief. Yeah, it was an underground cave that he was exploring. I heard something growling at him. He couldn't get a good look at it, and he got a strange injury some kind of a claw. Something tried grabbing him by his boot, and it lost a claw. The claw was basically jabbed into his ankle. He had to go visit the doctor. The doctor pulled out this really long claw from something. He couldn't quite identify what the hell it was. He had to have the injury checked out. Yeah, I know. Well, I know of another good one in the US. A guy's just sleeping in his tent camping, and it was a Bigfoot. It crawled in on all fours. It unzipped the tent, crawled in on all fours, stood up, stood on top of him in a dog-like position, leaned over him, looked in his face, and growled at him. No, Bigfoot can be aggressive. They can be. Most of the time, they're just curious. Yowies can be curious too. There's a lot of times where they're not aggressive either. So there's been reports of something. Yeah, there has. There's been reports of something running around Maroon Dam. There's also something that's supposed to be running around Leslie Dam, and there's another camp where there's a famous dam. When you go out Rathdowney way, if you have to know where Rathdowney is. I know there's supposed to be some of them running around Lamington Park. Yeah, National Park, and there's also Lamington Park as well. Supposed to be stuff running around up there too, from what I've heard. And Narang Dam as well too.